On this episode of Reidus and Cletus Weekly, we're getting dreamy.
That's right. As much as we already are dreamy, we're going to talk about our dream cars. Some attainable and some not so attainable.
Yeah, well, basically, there's two kind of categories of dream cars. There's like, man, I'd love to own that, and like, man, I could probably own that. And I think it's interesting because we kind of already have our attainable dream cars. I don't speak for you, but I think you kind of already bought yours.
Yeah, the Datsun Roadster is a car I've wanted my whole life because my dad owned so many of them, and I just kind of was kind of born into it. So I was born into a sickness.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I knew he was looking for an old car. That was really the only one. Like, well, yeah, the only first car to get.
Wow, yeah, still, I mean, if I was gonna sell it and have a bunch of other stuff, I'd probably still want a Datsun Roadster. I love that car so much.
It's the one. It's a great car.
And for you, obviously, it's the Corvette, which you've known since you were 7?
10.
10? Okay.
I got a book when I was 10 that had a whole bunch of classic American cars in it. And my favorite of all the cars in the book was a yellow 1970, I think was the year, Corvette. And I just fell in love with it. I even like bookmarked the page, and it got dog-eared from me flipping it open so many times. And that was always the car for me. I've always wanted a Corvette. But if we're talking all-out dream cars, no limits, I want a Lamborghini Miura.
Yes.
They made that car, I think, from 1966 to 1972, and it is a mid-engine V12 Italian supercar, and I think it is personally one of the best-looking cars ever made. I think it's just gorgeous.
Totally agree. And what color would you have?
I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care.
Okay, we're dreaming. What do you want?
Oh, if I'm dreaming, I think it looks great in like a metallic lime green with like a blue interior and a silver two-tone thing.
Like the one that they restored totally.
Yes. Because, I mean, if it's an Italian supercar, go all out. I'm not going to have it in brown or red, you know? I'm going to have something wild.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that lime green that they do as well. That's a great car.
Mm-hmm.
For me, all-in-out dream car has got to be Aston Martin DB4.
Really?
Yeah, it's so funny because throughout the years, it used to actually be the DB6, which you actually got to experience one and ride in one, right?
I got to ride as a passenger in a DB6, and it was incredible.
So I always liked the DB6 because it had the camtail, and it kind of had that fastback style, which I thought was really great. And then I got into James Bond as I was, in my formative years, and then the DB5 became my favorite. And then the more and more immature that I get, the more that I like the DB4 because it doesn't have kind of those pontoon front fenders. I kind of like the flat face and the...
I like the traditional headlights on the 4 versus the 5, personally. It's just me.
I don't know, I just think it's a super clean design, and, the Brits really design a great car, and I love a straight 6. I mean...
It's such a good engine.
Other than the V12, it's probably my favorite engine. It just sounds so good.
I think one of the other cars that you've always said you want is like really old, like a pre-war. Haven't you wanted like an old single-seater kind of thing?
I kind of would like an old F1 style car, like a Grand Prix style car, because I just think they're cool. They're so mechanical. I mean, we both love cars, but I think for me, more than that, I love mechanical things. I love things that work, things that fit together really nice. I just love that kind of stuff. And when you've got an old car like that, it is pure mechanical. I mean, there might be one wire. You're like
straddling the drive shaft in those things. They're crazy.
I do like that kind of stuff. You into pre-war stuff?
Not so much, although I did get to drive one recently. I was really impressed. I got to drive the Haggerty 1917 race car, which is exactly 100 years old. It's got like a massive V8, makes 80 horsepower and goes 70 miles an hour. But that was cool. It was like wrestling a dinosaur. That was a lot of fun. But not the cars that I've always really lusted after have always been middle to late 60s sports and supercars. I'd say like my short list would be like Jaguar E-Type, Dino 206, and Porsche 911, plus the Miura and the Corvette. That's kind of like the cross section of the stuff I like. I'm kind of a narrow aim.
So are any of those attainable, do you think? I think maybe an E-Type might still be.
If you could blur the early 911 to an early 912, those can still be bought for $30K, and $30K is not a crazy amount of money to spend on a car. I mean, you could ostensibly...
That's what a new car is. Say what a new... What's a new car is 30 grand. Yeah, 35. So if you could do that for an old car, that would definitely be something you could do. For me, I'm going to go a little higher and say like De Tomaso Pantera.
Ooh, that's like 50 grand now, I think. 50 to 70.
Yeah, I was looking them up.
Yeah, but worth it. They're awesome. They're so cool.
You know what I've really been falling in love with? The NSX.
Really?
And they're like 50 grand. Oh, I shouldn't tell people that. Yeah, man, the NSX is an affordable supercar, and they are so cool.
That's awesome. You know, the other thing is, it's funny we're talking about obtainable dream cars and stuff. the De Tomaso Pantera. Prove me wrong in this if anyone knows any different. I believe it is the cheapest gated manual you can buy.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's the cheapest one. 50 to 70 grand or whatever it is. It's a lot cheaper than a new R8, which has them. It's a lot cheaper, I guarantee, than any Ferrari that ever had a gated manual.
Yeah.
If you ever want that click, click, click gear shift, that's
so
the most affordable way to do it. So, a bargain.
Ferrari 308.
I don't think they're... Oh, are they gated?
Yeah, or what about the...
Oh, they're 100K now, though.
308's 100K? Okay,
yeah.
Well, I guess I'm not buying one of those. I like those.
They're gone.
Another unattainable dream car, I think, for both of us is like 50s Ferraris, of course, obviously. And you know what you forgot to mention is that you love the Ghibli.
Oh, I forgot! So my attainable supercar is the Maserati Ghibli, which was a front-engine V8 rear-drive, kind of the Maserati version of the Ferrari Daytona. And these things, for the longest time, were like brand new Camry money. You could buy them for 30, 40, 50 grand. Now it's like 70 grand for a rotten one, but that means the shells, like the crappiest ones, are going for like 20 to 30. And like one of these days, I might be stupid enough. Because I think they're gorgeous.
They are gorgeous. I love them.
They're penned by Giorgetto Giugiaro, and they're like one of his early designs, and I think they're the coolest ever.
They are so cool.
But until then, we'll be saving our pennies.
Well, I hope that gave you a little bit of an insight into how crazy we are and how much we think that we're actually going to own in our day, and maybe not. But
let us know what some of your favorite dream cars are in the comments.
Tune in next week for another Reidus and Cletus Weekly.
Extra farts.